It's November 5, 1900, and the world is about to change forever. The American liner St. Louis is out at sea when it encounters something that defies every law of physics known to man. It's the Astronef, a massive, metallic, propeller-driven craft that doesn't sail through the water, but soars through the air with incredible speed. This isn't a ghost ship, though. It's the culmination of a lifetime of work by a brilliant inventor, the late Mr. Rennick. The ship is funded by the wealthy and powerful Lord Redgrave, and it operates on a principle called R-force, a repulsive gravitational force that allows it to defy weight and gravity itself. As the ship makes its presence known, we meet the people inside. There's Lord Redgrave, a man of immense influence and secret missions. He's currently tasked with a high-stakes diplomatic errand, delivering a secret Anglo-American treaty to Washington, D.C., in an attempt to prevent a global war. Then there's Zaidie Rennick, the daughter of the inventor. She's a young woman caught in the rigid social structures of the Edwardian era, currently betrothed to a man she doesn't love, the profligate Marquis of Byfleet. Her chaperone, Mrs. Van Stuyler, is there to ensure propriety, though that's about the last thing on anyone's mind once the ship takes flight. In a move that blurs the line between a romantic gesture and an abduction, Lord Redgrave decides to assist the fates. He invites Zaidie and Mrs. Van Stuyler aboard the Astronef, effectively whisking them away from their terrestrial lives to demonstrate the ship's capabilities and, more importantly, to escape the arranged marriage Zaidie faces. As the Astronef climbs above the clouds, the social rules of Earth begin to dissolve. Redgrave offers the women a choice: return to Earth or travel into the solar system. Zaidie, realizing that her life on Earth was nothing more than a series of prescribed roles, chooses the stars. The ship's first major act isn't just exploration, but technological diplomacy. As they descend toward Washington, D.C., the Astronef uses its massive searchlights to signal in Morse code, projecting a message of peace and stability. It's a demonstration of power used not to conquer, but to ensure an Anglo-American alliance and global order. After a grand banquet hosted by the president, where the Redgraves are treated like royalty, the couple officially sets off for the heavens, leaving the politics of Earth behind for the mysteries of the void. Their first stop is the moon. They land in the Tycho crater, but they don't find a barren wasteland. Instead, they discover the ruins of a massive, ancient civilization. There are giant bones and the remnants of cities that suggest life once thrived there on a grand scale. However, the mood turns somber in a dark, marshy valley, where they encounter the descendants of this lost race, blind, ape-like creatures that have devolved into primitive shadows of their former selves. It's a chilling reminder that even the greatest civilizations are subject to the slow, grinding gears of biological decay. From the moon, they push on to Mars. The Redgraves find a world that is highly advanced but fundamentally alien. The Martians are tall, gender-ambiguous beings who have achieved a state of pure, cold intellect. In their pursuit of efficiency and logic, they have entirely abolished emotion. This creates a terrifying friction when the humans arrive. To the Martians, Zaidie is not a person with agency, but a biological specimen or property to be studied and kept. After a brief, violent skirmish where the Martian logic clashes with human instinct, the Redgraves realize that this version of perfection is actually a kind of spiritual death, and they move on. Their next destination is Venus, which provides a stark contrast to the coldness of Mars. They find a lush golden paradise inhabited by winged, angelic beings. This society seems to have achieved a state of grace, living in harmony without the need for the heavy machinery or the cold logic of the Martians. But as Zaidie watches this sinless world, she has a profound realization. She senses that the presence of humans, with our history of malice, greed, and original sin, might act as a corrupting influence on this perfect ecosystem. To protect the Venusians from the chaos of human nature, the Redgraves decide to depart in secret, leaving the paradise untouched. The journey then takes them to the outer reaches, specifically to Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons. Here, they find a civilization living in massive glass-domed cities, struggling to survive against the cooling core of the moon. The scale of the celestial mechanics becomes terrifyingly real during a harrowing descent into Jupiter's turbulent, molten atmosphere. The crew is nearly swallowed by the gas giant, only saved by a gravitational miracle caused by the specific alignment of the Jovian moons. It is a moment that emphasizes just how fragile human technology is when faced with the raw, chaotic forces of the solar system. As they move towards Saturn, the landscape becomes even more surreal. They navigate through the rings and encounter a dense, high-pressure atmosphere filled with massive, predatory, jellyfish-like monsters. The environment feels prehistoric, filled with giant reptiles and primitive, gorilla-like beings. It's as if the solar system is a museum of different evolutionary stages, with each world representing a different point on a cosmic timeline of rise and fall. On the return journey, the scale of the universe truly hits home. The crew witnesses the birth of a new star, created by the violent collision of two dead ones, a spectacle of cosmic creation and destruction that makes their own journey feel incredibly small. The voyage concludes with a high-stakes maneuver, a gravitational slingshot around the Sun. The Astronef narrowly avoids being pulled into the solar furnace, using the Sun's own gravity to whip them back toward Earth. They enter the atmosphere and land in the Pacific, returning not just as explorers, but as legends. The Redgraves are celebrated globally, and eventually they fly the Astronef to the steps of the US Capitol, signaling that the age of interplanetary travel has officially begun. When we look back at this story, written at the turn of the 20th century, it's easy to see it as a precursor to the space operas we know today. But it's more than just an adventure. It's a reflection of the anxieties and fascinations of the Victorian and Edwardian eras. One of the most striking themes is what we might call Darwinian evolutionary stages. Griffith uses the planets as a way to visualize the passage of time. The Moon shows us the end of a cycle, the decay of a once great race. Mars shows us a potential future, the loss of emotion in favor of pure, cold intellect. Venus offers a different path, a spiritual evolution that bypasses the need for industrial or biological struggle. There is also a very clear sense of technological diplomacy at work. The Astronef isn't just a vehicle, it's a political tool. The idea that advanced science could act as a deterrent to war and a means to unify humanity was a powerful concept in 1901, as nations were racing to assert dominance through new technologies. The ship represents a hope that science might serve peace rather than destruction, even if the way it achieves that peace is through a show of overwhelming power. The book also plays heavily with the concept of the sublime. In art and literature, the sublime refers to something so vast, so beautiful, and so terrifying that it overwhelms the human mind. Griffith achieves this through his descriptions of the Jovian atmosphere and the birth of stars. These scenes are designed to make the listener feel the same awe and insignificance that the characters feel. It's a reminder that while humans can build machines to defy gravity, we are still tiny passengers in a much larger, much more indifferent universe. There is a tension throughout the book between intellect and emotion. The Martian encounter is perhaps the most direct expression of this. The Martians have solved the problem of conflict by removing the very thing that makes us human, our passions. By doing so, they've lost their soul. Zaidie's reaction to Venus is the flip side of this. She sees a world that has achieved a kind of perfection, but she fears that human emotion is a contagion that would destroy that peace. It's a complex philosophical question. Is a perfect society possible if it requires the removal of the messy, unpredictable parts of the human spirit? We should also acknowledge that the book is a product of its time, particularly in how it views social structures and biology. The idea of social Darwinism and the certain biases regarding gender and race are woven into the fabric of the narrative. While these elements are part of the historical context, they also shape how the characters interact with the alien worlds they find. The perfection of the Venusians or the devolution of the moon dwellers are viewed through a very specific, early 20th century lens of progress and decline. Ultimately, A Honeymoon in Space is about the expansion of the human horizon. It's a story about moving from the constraints of a small, socialized life into a vast, interconnected cosmos. Zaidie Rennick's journey is not just a physical trip through the planets, but a psychological one. She moves from being a piece in a social game to being a witness to the sublime. The book suggests that while we may be small, our curiosity and our ability to observe the wonders of the universe give us a place within it. As the Astronef lands back on Earth, it doesn't just bring back stories, it brings back a new way of seeing our place among the stars.